Happy Sunday, everyone. Welcome in to yet another edition of the Disney List. Aljon and Kristen here. Before we get the show started, just wanted to give everybody a little bit of a heads up. Kristen, if they're interested in booking an upcoming trip to the Walt Disney World Resort, or, as we can see, there is progress moving forward with Disneyland, as they're testing the lights open right now over there.
Making sure
sure they still work.
Maybe they're checking them because of the power outages.
Could be. Could definitely be.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But if they want to take a trip and they want to go to Walt Disney World, or a future trip once we can start booking Disneyland, or a cruise anywhere, they can contact me at themeparksandcruises@gmail.com. Because I think that's where you were going with that.
Yes, that's exactly where I was going with that. Yes. The other thing you could do to help us out is check out our YouTube page for the Disney List. You can click like, subscribe, and the podcast too. We're on so many different podcast platforms, it's ridiculous. We're on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Anchor FM, Radio Public. List goes on and on. Find us, like us, share the show, subscribe to the show, and we'd love you so much if you did that. We'd love you more than we do now. You can also be a Patreon, a subscriber / supporter
/ donor
to the show by visiting our link there to anchor.fm / Disney List. Like our top fan, Lindsay Marie. And hey, Lindsay, she's in the chat now. What's up? She loves our shirts. Hi, Gail. Gail's in the chat too. So I'd like to say hello to everybody. And
I like your hat.
I do too. It's a Black Panther hat.
Where'd you get that?
Oh, thanks to you, Kristen.
Where'd you get it, though?
Where did I get it? I got it at Disneyland. We're going to talk a little bit about that. Kind of a sad opener.
Actually, you did not get it at Disneyland.
I didn't.
No, that's not the Disneyland one. That's from D23.
Oh, this is from D23.
Yes, your
okay, my
Kevin
Marvel,
Feige.
my Kevin Feige collection hat I got from Disneyland. Okay,
that one.
I got the two of them mixed up. But hey, happy birthday, Lindsay, our big sponsor of the show. It's her birthday. She's 36.
Happy birthday!
Today. Can I say 36? I just did. I just said her birthday. I just said what it was. So anyway, it's late. It's late, but
she posted it, so she's sharing.
Yeah, she's sharing. She's sharing with everyone. So okay, let's go get this show started. Thank you so much for tuning in, and let's hit it.
The following is a production of the Sorcerer Radio Network.
Fun imagination, huh?
Ladies and gentlemen,
Broadcasting from the Tiki Room Studios in Music City.
It's the Disney List.
The Disney List.
You've got to have characters that the audience, the viewer, the reader cares about.
What makes a hero? What's friendship? What's the idea of sacrificing yourself for something larger?
With the hope that it will be a source of joy and inspiration to all the world.
The Disney List on Sorcerer Radio with your hosts, Kristen and Aljon. Welcome in to the weekly show that brings you top 5, top 10, ranking, everything under the sun, Marvel, Disney, Star Wars, theme parks. It's the Disney List. I am Aljon Go, lifelong Disney, Marvel, and Star Wars fan. I love making lists and sharing them with you. And of course, my wife, my better half, she is Miss Dining at Disney.com, Disney foodie, also a recognized vacation planner for Walt Disney World and Disney parks. Kristen, hello.
Hello.
Hey, don't forget, fam, I know you're listening to us. You may be watching us on demand. You need to get in touch with Kristen to book your next trip to the Disney Resort or even Universal. Any cruise line that's coming up, because I know people are starting to plan. They're getting into that mode. We're going to beat this. On the other side of this, we're going to have fun. And when the floodgates open, it's going to be great. It's going to be awesome. So, Kristen, how can people get in touch with you?
They can email me at themeparksandcruises@gmail.com.
Amazing. And we'd also like to give a big shout out to Sorcerer Radio at srsounds.com. That is home base for us. You can check out the Disney List at thedisneylist.com. Social media is there. Facebook is the best way to get in touch with us. We're also on Instagram at Disney Listcast, and in Twitter as well, where you can always get the latest and greatest news. So speaking of news, we're going to get to some headlines, at least one big one in just a little bit. But Kristen, what are we talking about today?
We are talking the top five of abandoned Disney World concepts. Yep. So this could be anything from attractions to land to restaurants.
Could be. There's so many on this because, and when we say abandoned, these are projects that were never built, or maybe they were hinted at and parts of it were built, but they never followed through and they never completed it. Right? Kind of like the legendary years of the Pop Century Resort. They never ended up completing it. So
no, it is now called Art of Animation.
That's right. So there's a lot of that. In fact, there's so much of this kind of stuff, which is absolutely fascinating, and I absolutely love it. I love it especially when there's so many different takes on what had happened during the development process. And that's what a lot of people don't realize, is that throughout the development process of Walt Disney World, Disneyland, Epcot, so many different parks they've gone through and morphed through different changes. And what you see is not necessarily what they had intended at the very beginning. And I know this from my own job when I come up with concepts of different guitars and stuff to build, that it goes through a process of, well, this is great. This could be better. Other people put in their 2 cents and change it and morphs it. And ultimately, we're all wanting the same thing, to build the best that we can possibly build. And Disney does the same thing. Or more oftentimes than not, in these cases, they just run out of money, which does happen.
It does happen.
Or
sponsors fall through.
So we're going to talk and explore a little bit of that fascinating concept to fruition, or in this case, non-fruition. I don't even know if that's a thing, but I just made it up. So let's talk about this. So just the other day, there was news had broke about Marvel's Black Panther star, groundbreaking film of Black Panther, Chadwick Boseman. He passed away at the tender age of 43. So young.
He was exactly a year younger than me, because his birthday's in November too.
It was just, it's crazy. 2020 has been a really difficult year for a lot of people, obviously, with everything going down this year, with all the things happening across the world. And when you have someone which was such a likable and amazing actor, so talented, to pass away at such a young age, especially with so much more to give, it was really a shock, because I don't believe a lot of people knew. But,
I don't remember what we were watching, but it's been since quarantine started. There was something we were watching at one point, and this was before the parks, before Disney World started to reopen. So it's been a little bit, but I just remember us watching something on YouTube of somebody saying about how there was there were talks about them having a different person, a different character come into the Black Panther role. Because I remember saying to you, you can't replace Chadwick Boseman. He is Black Panther. So it makes me think that whatever we were watching, somebody knew of what was going on with him. or had seen pictures of him or had seen him somewhere or something to know that something may not have been right, you know? And they've got to have, Marvel's got to have known and tried to start planning for that.
So possibly, I think they're going to take the time that they need in order to let things settle. Ryan Coogler, well, look, we went to D23 last year, and Ryan Coogler came out with Kevin Feige and said, we're getting ready to, to plan pre-production for Black Panther 2. Everyone went wild. And, he was just, Ryan Coogler is such a tremendous director and writer. Loved Ryan Coogler's work with Rocky, and working with the General Hospital actor who played.
He was in General Hospital.
Oh, no,
All My
Children.
Children. Michael B. Jordan.
Michael B. Jordan. Yes.
Come on, Aljon.
I'm sorry, Michael B. Jordan. Of course, Michael B. Jordan. It's late. We're doing this, but Chadwick Boseman, just an amazing actor, and I'm gonna read a little something before. Okay, you had something you want to say? Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I always liked watching interviews with him because he seemed very down to earth, very friendly. He seemed like somebody who is a very positive person, that he just looked, he was a half glass full, not a half glass empty kind of guy.
Sure. Speaking of Chadwick, here he is.
I mean, even beyond on stage, it's always exciting seeing everybody, because some people you work with briefly, some people you work with a lot, some people you get to hang out with, some people you haven't just yet. So, but it's always fun, and it's always actors that you admire, and you watch their other movies that they do outside of the Marvel universe. So it's just fun, like it's almost like an all-star game. Right, yeah. We sat down on it. I think all of us sat down on the edge of the stage and watched it. So it was, I don't know who else hadn't seen it, but for me, it was. I watched it as a fan, it was just a very wide stage and a wide audience. So it's massive. It's like an ocean of people out there, and they were so excited. For literally every person that came out, you saw how much they love these movies, and the assembly of all of us together. It was incredible. It was incredible to watch it.
So that was Chadwick Boseman when we were at D23 back in 2017 to promote Marvel's Avengers: Infinity War, and. What else can I say, man? I mean, the guy is an amazing actor. Hard to believe that his journey with Marvel started with Civil War, and from there he would go on to be part of the biggest films, easily in the top 10 grossing films of all time. Marvel's Avengers: Infinity War, Marvel's Avengers: Endgame, and then Black Panther. I mean, those three are literally in the top 3 of biggest grossing films of all time. And not only that, but I had remembered Chadwick Boseman from his portrayal of James Brown. I mean, and I told you about his performance. Like, he is amazing in James Brown. So I don't know, just very sad, very, 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 very sad. Kristen, is there anything else you'd like to mention? Because he's been in a lot of things.
Now I feel like because I see on there that he was on where'd it go? CSI. Scroll down.
Yeah, you can see some of his acting. In fact, he was in
CSI
ER.
New York. I feel like I need to go back and try and find that episode.
Exactly.
Episode is Heroes.
Yeah, he was in Law and Order. He was in All My Children. He played Reggie as well.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I never realized that that's who that was.
Yeah. So now we can go back and watch.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, isn't it crazy that he would play him as well?
Yeah, that you had two actors in
the same role.
In the same movie.
In the same movie that played the same role in the same TV show, the same character 2 different times.
I remember when they recast Michael B. Jordan to play that, but I never could remember who it was that was the original.
And there you go. That was him. So, wow. Just amazing. But like I said, it was Get On Up, the James Brown story in 2014. So just absolutely amazing stuff. So before we launch into our never built attractions over at Walt Disney World, let's take some time. Let's take some time and remember the life that was Chadwick Boseman. Marvel.com put up a great tribute to him. They say, quote, "We're all heartbroken by the tragic loss of Chadwick Boseman, an extraordinary talent and one of the most gentle and giving souls I've ever met," said Robert Iger, executive chairman of the board of the Walt Disney Company. He brought enormous strength, dignity, and depth to his groundbreaking role of Black Panther, shattering myths and stereotypes, becoming a long-awaited hero to millions around the world, and inspiring us all to dream bigger and demand more from the status quo. We mourn all that he was, as well as everything he was destined to become. For his friends and millions of fans, his absence from the screen is only eclipsed by his absence in our lives. All of us at Disney send our prayers and heartfelt condolences to his family. So, Kevin Feige has also said, quote, "Chadwick's passing is absolutely devastating. He was our T'Challa, our Black Panther, our dear friend. Each time he stepped on set, he radiated charisma and joy. And each time he appeared on screen, he created something truly indelible. He embodied a lot of amazing people in his work, and nobody was better at bringing great men to life. He was smart and kind and powerful and strong as any person he portrayed. And now he takes his place alongside them as an icon for the ages. Marvel Studios family deeply mourns his loss, and we're grieving tonight with his family." Do you want to read this quote from Chris Evans?
It says, "I'm absolutely devastated. This is beyond heartbreaking. Chadwick was special, a true original. He was a deeply committed and constant curious artist. Few performers have such power and versatility. He had so much amazing work still left to create. I'm endlessly grateful for our friendship. My thoughts and prayers are with his family. Rest in peace." Or rest in power, King.
Yeah, there's so many people paying tribute to Chadwick. Of course, we are today, so we appreciate his contributions to pop culture and cinema. Of course, Wakanda forever. Chadwick will forever be the king, and we are so happy to have at least had him bring that happiness into our life for what little time he spent with us. So having said that, let's play some really cool moments from Black Panther featuring, of course, the lovely and talented Chadwick Boseman.
Just don't freeze when you see her.
What are you talking about? I never freeze. Nakia. I want it.
Hey. You froze.
Did he freeze?
Like an antelope in headlights.
Are you finished?
How many times do I have to teach you? Just because something works doesn't mean that it cannot be improved.
You are teaching me. What do you know?
More than you.
I can't wait to see what kind of update you make to your ceremonial outfit.
My king.
Stop it. Stop it.
The real question is, what are those? Why do you have your toes out in my lap?
But you don't like my royal sandals. I wanted to go old school for my first day.
I bet the elders loved that. And I made them completely sound absorbent.
Interesting.
Guess what I call them? Sneakers. Because you... Never mind. Strike it again in the same spot.
You're recording?
For research purposes.
Delete that footage.
So, you want to hear something funny
Okay,
about that one clip where
Go ahead.
she's talking about his shoes making no sound?
Yes.
Marvel made a mistake because there is a scene where he is wearing those and they have the footstep sound effect.
Oh, that's right. That's right. That's right. This is true. All true. So anyway, thank you so much, Chadwick Boseman. Rest, sweet prince. We're going to move to our next segment, which will be 5 never built, never completed Walt Disney World attractions when we come back.
Hello, everyone. Welcome aboard the Mickey and Friends tram. Please lower your head and watch your step while boarding. As a courtesy to others, we ask that there be no eating, drinking, or smoking on board. All right?
I'm Corey Burton, and you're listening to Sorcerer Radio.
All right. It is the Disney List. Check us out on Sorcerer Radio at srsounds.com as well as thedisneylist.com. You can check out the archive of awesome shows with Kristen and myself. If you're just tuning in, welcome back. Every week, Kristen and I discuss our top lists of Walt Disney World, Disneyland, Marvel, Star Wars lists. And we have one for you. Kristen, tell us what we're talking about.
We are talking about our top 5 abandoned concepts.
Right. So there's a lot of these things that happen and throughout the course of Disney bringing attractions to life. Some of them we know a lot of, and some of them we just know a little bit of pieces, glimpses, if you will. So I tell you what, let us go ahead and start with
Number 5.
So we recently found out a little something, and I had it queued up.
A little something.
It was a ride and attraction that we had been looking forward to a lot since they announced it. Gosh, way back in D23 2013, maybe even before that.
It could be 2011.
Yeah. But what is it, Kristen?
It is the Monsters, Inc. roller coaster that was supposed to be built in Disney's Hollywood Studios.
So once again, these are attractions that this one was never built, but we were told that it was going to be made. Mm-hmm. We were told it was going to be made.
Wasn't it originally supposed to be where the backlot tour was?
Well, yes. I believe so. We'll talk about it. This information, because we were looking at this, apparently there was Lou Mangello did an interview with one of our friends of the show, Walt Disney or Magic Kingdom and Disney Hollywood Studios Vice President Dan Cockrell, who discussed what happened to this coaster, the Monsters Inc. roller coaster slated for Hollywood Studios. He was talking about how management assesses weak spots and risks to a theme park. And he said that there was need for more family attractions at DHS, with the exception of the Great Movie Ride in Toy Story Mania. Everything else was a thrill ride or show. And executives decided that there needed to be more offerings for the whole family. Unfortunately for fans of Monsters, Inc., that family-friendly directive for Hollywood Studios didn't align with a pitch for the roller coaster that never came to be. After you announce it?
Right, yeah.
Did you want to read this?
It says, Imagineering called one day saying that they just got out of a meeting with John Lasseter with a great idea for Monsters, Inc. door coaster. The roller coaster would have taken guests through the factory in Monsters, Inc., where the doors are stored for the monsters to enter through to scare kids.
Yeah. And it says, ultimately, the idea was dropped after Cockrell told Imagineering that it just didn't make sense for the future of the park. As you know, it says there, and this is from blogmickey.com, so thank you, Blog Mickey. It says, as you know, Great Movie Ride was replaced with Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. Toy Story Mania was essentially expanded to the entire Toy Story Land, and Galaxy's Edge debuted. Although it was supposed to be vastly different, Cockrell even teased a lot more in the pipeline for DHS, which we know to be true, right? So we had known that there was going to be expansion of Pixar Place early on, like for many years. And then of course it ended up growing into Toy Story Land, which this was also supposed to be phase one. And here's a funny thing. If you hear that there's supposed to be a phase one, that implies that there is a phase two. And a lot of times they never make it to phase two. Epcot is still in phase one, folks. And they announced we're going to get to that. They announced a lot of things for Epcot, and who knows if Epcot is actually going to morph into what we were told is going to happen because of all this stuff that's going on. So
yeah, all the stuff changes that are supposed to occur to Future World.
Yes.
I sure hope they do. And I sure hope they don't cheap out on it. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, who knows now?
I know.
I mean, Disney
Epcot needs the love. Epcot needs the love.
Are we wrapped up with
other parks have gotten so much love, and then there's poor Epcot. It's like the redheaded stepchild of Disney.
Hey, that's offensive to redheaded stepchildren. Hey, are we wrapped up with monsters? We're in rare form tonight, folks.
Yes, we can be wrapped up.
Okay, we're wrapped up with monsters. Okay. Well, this is cool. So how about we do
number 4?
Let's check this section out.
In fact, the heart of everything we'll be doing in Disney World will be our experimental prototype city of tomorrow. We call it Epcot, spelled E-P-C-O-T, Experimental Prototype Community of Tomorrow. Here it is in larger scale.
So love that music. It's when TV shows are like legit.
Will take its cue from the new ideas and new technologies that are now emerging from the creative centers of American industry. It will be a community of tomorrow that will never be completed, but will always be introducing and testing and demonstrating new materials and new systems. And Epcot will always be a showcase to the world for the ingenuity and imagination of American free enterprise. I don't believe there's a challenge anywhere in the world that's more important to people everywhere than finding solutions to the problems of our cities. But where do we begin? How do we start answering this great challenge? Well, we're convinced we must start with the public need. And the need is not just for curing the old ills of old cities. We think the need is for starting from scratch on virgin land and building a special kind of new community.
I could sit here and listen to Walt talk all day. I really could. And the Epcot film is great. Back from 1966, talking about Progress City and everything that Walt had envisioned before his untimely passing. And gosh, wouldn't it have been cool to see? We look at that every time we ride the People Mover. Can you guys see us in the chat? Okay, if you guys in the chat can see us and hear us, please let us know in the chat because our feed stopped. So let us know. Okay. Anyway, All right. If anyone out there in the chat can chime in and let us know if we're still broadcasting, that'd be great. Okay. All right. But at any rate, well, let's just proceed. So at any rate, yes, it would have been really cool to check out Epcot for sure. And okay, Lee can check us out. He can see us. Okay, great. Because we can't see each other now. I think we got busted for playing Walt too long. I think that's what it is. They're like, hey, look, you're playing too much of this. Look, this is what we like to call Creative Commons and commentary and education. This is what it is. So I hate how
it may just be the weather because it's supposed to be raining here.
Okay. All right. So anyway, we're back and we're live, and yes, it would have been really cool to see what Epcot was all about if it were to be built. I think one of the coolest things that you can check out, folks, is the original Epcot, which is a really neat site about not only Epcot, but the, I guess, Progress City and how the original model was and how it was restored back in 2013, which was awesome because you can see all the videos of Walt talking about it, the model from different photos. You can see the different sections, the urban center, the industrial area, residential area, high density housing, the amusement park, and of course, everything to do about the restoration. And how cool is it to check out this model? And I think some of you longtime listeners know that my dad and I made did like a train set model like growing up. And this is just incredible, the different things. It says General Electric nuclear plant and various industrial buildings. And you can see here, Epcot, being designed as a real city, had public services, industrial areas were needed. Through the Reedy Creek improvement legislation, all right, Disney could build almost anything in the city that they would have needed, including a nuclear plant, an industrial park connected to Epcot via high-speed monorails, which was included in the overall Florida project. Small industrial elements were included close to the urban center. So how about that? That's pretty cool, huh?
Think that model was destroyed.
Yeah.
What's funny is, after seeing the Marvel movies, and it's funny that every time that clip that we just saw of Walt, every time they have Stark, with that
the Stark Expo thing.
Yeah, it always makes me think of Walt and Epcot.
And they did that on purpose. Exactly.
I mean, it looks exactly like
World Fair. Yeah, the icon. So the urban center is the iconic part of Epcot, included as the symbol of Epcot, the Cosmopolitan Hotel built on a recreation deck. The hotel itself has a contemporary design surrounded by lower office buildings. The deck is landscaped and several interesting features can be seen. Tennis courts, heliports, running paths, and several glass domes providing natural light to the levels below. The deck is indeed the roof of the enclosed climate-controlled International Shopping Center. The mall concept was revolutionary at the time of the Epcot design, which would have included the design phase of shops, restaurants, entertainment-based cultures from all around the world, which would eventually be known as World Showcase. Pretty nice. And then you'd have the residential area. Did you want to read a little bit about this?
Let's see. It's low density housing, and it says it features all single family houses, 258 of them actually. It says there were to be 10 unique designs and 16 different configurations, but they never made the final cut.
How cool is this? I mean, it's like something right out of Logan's Run.
And it says that when they built the model, they only showed 3 of the designs.
It's so cool. So cool. A lot of them look like the Brady Bunch house. You know,
I
from
like the square pool that
the
they
square
had.
pool. Yeah, it's so neat. And this is these photos we're looking at is from Jeff Williams, which I know was part of the restoration project. There's high density housing. The amusement park looks pretty neat. It had their own amusement park, which differs from a theme park. And so this one had a Casey Jr. like train connected to Epcot and other areas through a people mover line. And you could see the different amusements that they have there. It looks like a carousel. They would have something like the Maliboomer that looks like from
and you've got the Ferris
California
wheels.
Adventures, Ferris
it looks
wheel.
like two Ferris wheels.
Yeah, and different eateries and things like that. So oh, here it is. Splashdown was one of the attractions in this mini
That
park.
looks weird.
Casey Jr. train track, the Supernova.
Oh, and they have a
Moonbug,
circus.
a UFO, Skyway, Boardwalk, Skywheel, and of course, Kristen said the circus, the carousel. How cool! Look at that. So neat. I think this is fascinating, but I just think that at the time, before we knew Epcot as what it is and what it turned out to be, building a city of this magnitude with all the different things, that would have been interesting to see, especially if they had built it forward thinking for the late 60s and then seeing if, how it would look today. It would have that whole like post-century or mid-modern century look to it, right? You would think
yeah,
mid-century modern look to it, almost like a city trapped in time. I think that would look super neat. Lee Beaton's in the chat says, I wonder if Walt's original idea for Epcot would have been his undoing, maybe reaching a bit too far as most cities are already built. How many brand new cities have been built since 1965? I don't know. And I think you're right, Lee. I mean, he had an opportunity. Now, most cities, yes, but this is kind of, this is a city, but it's also a development. So there are a lot of modern developments that have popped up that are very future forward, right?
It seems like it would be more of a suburb, a town that was just built to be more self-sufficient.
Yes, unlike Celebration.
Yeah.
So Lindsay says, I would have lived there. Yes. It would have been interesting. I think Kristen and I had an idea that Celebration would be a really cool place to live, or Thousand Oaks would be a really cool place. Or Golden Oaks would be a really cool.
There you
It's not Thousand Oaks. Golden Oaks would be a really cool place to live because of its proximity. If we could afford to live there, I mean,
At least you didn't call it 100 acres.
100 acres, the 100-acre woods. I could do that. Okay, let's see here. Where are we at?
Number 3.
So, speaking of Epcot, and there's a lot we can say about Epcot. In fact, we're going to be living in Epcot for the next couple spots, I think, is Westcott. And Westcott was an idea Disney had to build a second theme park over there at Disneyland Resort, which was going to not be DCA. It wasn't going to be California Adventure. It was essentially a replica of Epcot there, and it was going to celebrate human achievement, innovation, technology, and culture. Sound familiar? The park was represented by a space station Earth, which is a larger version of the geodesic sphere spaceship Earth featured at Epcot. And in the 90s, you had here Michael Eisner. He wanted to expand. And in his expansion with Euro Disney at the time, it's like, oh, I think it's time. It's time to open up another gate at Disneyland. So we're going to announce Westcott, which was going to be done in 1991. And then it was canceled in 1995. And then DCA ultimately opened up in 2001. So how cool, though, would it have been to have Westcott with a future world that had, their version of, Spaceship Earth with adventure through inner space and different things like that. They'd have different attractions over there, like World of Motion or Journey into Imagination. They'd have their own World Showcase that had
that's interesting.
a different take. Instead of countries, they would have cities.
Not all cities.
Or some cities. They would have some cities.
We have cities and continents here.
Yeah, so they had London, which would have their Big Ben, New York for the American City Pavilion. And Kristen, you want to read the rest?
There's Africa, Asia, Paris, Tokyo, China, and Toronto. The thing that confuses me about this list is you have Tokyo, which is a city, China, which is a country, both Asian, and then you have the continent of Asia. What? That doesn't make sense to me.
The rest of Asia.
Okay.
Maybe it would include most of India.
Disney would just, I don't know.
Maybe it would just be India.
Was thinking.
Maybe it'd just be India. Who knows? That's a large portion of Asia right there, folks. So Westcott, and we could go on. I think this idea of Westcott and different theme parks that Walt Disney and the rest of the Disney company had tried to launch during the Great Expansion during the Michael Eisner era is something that we can totally spend time talking about, because there were so many planned resorts and different things that they were going to do, right before Walt Disney passed, in building the brand, in the Disney decade. And it would have been amazing to see for sure. I almost feel, though, that if they had built Westcott, that a lot of the issues that plague Epcot now would be there as well.
Oh, absolutely.
So I'm almost glad it didn't happen, just because now they built California Adventure, which was also kind of a thumbs down, but then they finally fixed it, and now it's much better.
Think about this though. You're talking about California Adventure. It opened in 2001. It wasn't even open 20 years. It wasn't even open 15 years, and it's undergone an entire redo of the park.
Yeah.
What about poor Epcot? It is still what it was. I mean, we still have the Camera Center sign that's still there.
Okay.
That's like a strange color. I just think it's very interesting that we have a park that like completely has been overhauled.
Yeah, absolutely. So speaking of needing an overhaul,
number 2.
Shall we hit number 2? Because this is a point of contention for you and many people.
Epcot, the never built countries.
Yes.
Okay.
This could be a list. We could have just done this as a list by itself.
Okay. So my main one that I want to mention is Russia. And the reason being is I'm going to show everybody that I have a very old Foder's travel guide. And apparently at one time it was the official guide for Disney. It says Walt Disney World for adults. This is from 1996. Okay. So there's many places in this book that don't exist anymore.
This is our library of books of different travel guides.
Yes. Why I have so many, I don't know.
Well, your mom was a travel agent, so you're second generation travel agent, huh?
Yeah, but that had completely happened because of me doing a podcast. It wasn't like I went out planning to be a travel agent. So here we go. Coming attractions under World Showcase in here. And most of them, there's just like a quick little snippet. So it says Switzerland, Japan, things coming to Japan, Denmark. Now, Russia, this is why I made such a big deal about Russia. In this book, this is what it says. I'm going to read it. An on again, off again Russia pavilion featuring onion dome spired buildings and attractions are exhibited centered around Russian folktales is rumored to be on again. The current projected date for the pavilion's opening,
wait for it,
is 1999. 21 years ago this was supposed to open, and if it did not have like an projected opening date, I wouldn't make such a big deal about it. But it is the only pavilion I have ever read anywhere that was to be built and had a projected opening date. So you have to know that there had to be a lot going through with planning of that and it to not happen.
Yes.
But it does have others, and they're like little side note of ones that have been discussed over the years, but apparently...
Oh, I have a list.
Yeah, because it has Australia, Israel, Ukraine, Austria, and various African nations.
We have a couple comments there in the chat. Kristen, you want to read some of them?
Sure.
Okay. Well, first of all, hello,
William
Yeti Chaser. Hershey is here, Sorcerer Radio DJ. And by the way, get well soon, Will. Hope you're doing well.
He says, LOL, she has out the book. Yeah. Lindsay says, yes, we need more countries. We need a Russia and India and Scotland and Ireland. Lee says, I think as long as people go as it is now, they won't spend the money to add more countries. And Will says, we need Aljontonia.
I'd be an Aljontonian of Aljontonia.
Is that like an Asian Estonia?
I don't know. It'd be like going into Guitar Center, wouldn't it?
Oh, no. I have enough of that right here. Wait, I'm already living in it right now.
That's right. Hey, so another thing about this is... right. So Epcot opened in 1982. The pavilions, of course, are what they are currently. And phase 2, they said they were going to open phase 2 in 1988, adding 5 new pavilions. Venezuela was going to be one. We read about that. Also, they were going to have Israel, Equatorial Africa, Spain, of all places. So, and they actually have artwork of all of these. But one thing that, Spain, they had the Millennium Village, different things like that.
Well, the Millennium Village was, there's a picture of the actual one.
Did happen.
I remember that. Did you? You didn't go when they had the...
No.
I did go that year.
I don't remember it.
It was only there for the year 1999 for the Millennium Celebration.
Gotcha.
But they had a variety of places in it. And I'll tell you, if you wanted an ad for Jerusalem, they had a really good one there. Like a whole, come spend your money in Jerusalem.
Oh, yeah.
Like whole video for you to watch.
Cool.
And then you could buy things too from some of those places. And they had a little mini food court of like 7 different countries of food that you could get, and it was really cool. I think I have a couple pictures somewhere of some of it, but
nice.
I liked it. It was cool when they did it. I was sad to see it go. I was kind of hoping they would decide to make it permanent.
Well, there is a list, and it would be nice, but I think a lot of them, these planned pavilions, they would have these concepts and they would have plans, but in the Disney way that they always do, they reached out for sponsors for these different pavilions. And because of different changes in government of these different countries and how they're trying to raise tourism in these different countries, they had a hard time. They had a hard enough time finding the 7 World Showcase countries, let alone the additional countries. And they're still having issues,
Wasn't it
money.
9 additional?
Yeah.
9 original, I mean?
Yeah, originally
you said
there
7, wasn't there 9?
Oh,
Yes,
yeah,
9.
there were 9 planned for sure.
It was Mexico, China, Germany, Italy, USA, Japan, France, United Kingdom, and Canada. It says that Norway opened in 1984 and Morocco in 1988.
Yep, there you go. So, yeah, it's a shame. And who knows? Like, I think they're trying their hardest to revamp Epcot. We saw the different things that they had planned, which were amazing for the new Epcot and the World Showcase at D23 last year. But we'll see. We'll see what happens and or if things get cut because of budget or timing or a combination of both. Who knows?
So,
go ahead.
Lindsay says Brazil or Argentina.
Which
I
one?
was going to make a comment, but I will keep it to myself.
They're both
because it was
great
going to be
countries.
funny,
I know I have friends
but
in
it may not be funny to others.
No.
Lee says updating, changing features of the existing pavilions would be nice to freshen things up for frequent visitors. I absolutely agree with that. And then Lee wants to know if you are offering any incentives for immigrating to Aljontonia.
Well, that would first mean that I would have to have a land and have sovereignty. It's like that episode of The Family Guy where Peter Griffin decides he wants to have Griffinville or whatever and have his own country.
Oh, if I win one of those huge lotteries, I'm buying an island and starting my own country.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Oh, I am. Absolutely. And mine's going to be the best place to live ever.
We could be like in that movie, Crazy Rich Asians or whatever, and everybody just get just put together a bunch of barges and we just party on the barge in international waters and declare our sovereignty. We are our own country.
No, isn't it Johnny Depp that owns his own little private island?
Oh, I have no idea.
See, I'm going to start my own little country on an island.
Oh, there you go. Awesome.
I'll have it in a very easy interview process, I promise.
All right. And now the moment everyone's been waiting for.
Number one.
So this by far is probably the biggest example of Disney not doing justice to their theme park. This is probably the greatest offender. And this had been, I guess, worked on and conceptualized and actually teased within the park logo, different places in the theme park with their river cruise and everything. And I'll be doggone, it never, ever happened. And that is
Beastly Kingdom.
Beastly Kingdom. So later, this area planned for the Disney Animal Kingdom, the Beastly Kingdom, ended up turning into Camp Minnie Mickey, and then later, as we know it today, Pandora, the World of Avatar, which to me is the spiritual successor of this, right? The Animal Kingdom focused on 3 different types of animals that exist. The existing animals of today, the extinct animals, and the ones that live within our imagination, the ones that don't exist. Of course, with the exception
unicorns.
of Expedition Everest, which the Yeti doesn't exist, supposedly. So
I don't know. Some people say it does.
The Yeti. So they had the planned attractions for this, which was going to feature realms featuring good and evil creatures. The good realm having Quest for the Unicorn, which would have had a mythological maze leading to the grotto where the unicorn lived. The Good Realm would have also featured Fantasia Gardens, an attraction based on the movie of the same name. Also, they would have had a magical boat ride that takes you through the animal scenes of the movie, and I guess that would be similar to Fantasia, which was similar to the many adventures of Winnie the Pooh, which had hippos and alligators and the dancing hours, along with a Pegasi. That's the multiple Pegasus.
Is it Pegasi?
Pegasi, fawns and centaurs. So that's pretty neat. And then there's the evil side that had the Dragon's Tower, ruled by a fire-breathing dragon. that housed a treasure in the tower's chamber. Also, the attraction would involve a group of bats threatening to take the dragon's throne and riches, and the bats would exist to enlist the guest help and take them on a wild roller coaster to do so.
Okay, I want to know something. Why are dragons so often used as being bad? Spyro was a good dragon.
Spyro is also
he's
not
going to
Disney.
be dragon. They're going to make him evil. Mushu, he was a good dragon.
He was a good dragon. He was a little dragon. And so you would travel, and then you would encounter the dragon himself. Other features included a mythical sea creature, themed land, and a restaurant called Loch Ness Landing, and that stuff is great. But one thing that I love about this is you and I actually took the Discovery River boats back in 2003 when we had our honeymoon. I have videotape of it.
Okay.
And it was cool. So remember going through, the riverway around Animal Kingdom. You'd go under the bridge. There was supposed to be a troll under the bridge. You saw the little dragon fountain that was, it was a dragon head fountain. And then you would see there's a little rock face there. And then you'd see a little cave, and then fire would spit out. Initially, they had those knights in shining armor that were impaled on in that area, and it was only around for like 6 months to a year before they took them down because so many people said that's too graphic. It's not Disney. And then there was a unicorn in the mist too, and then they had it for the what was it, the preview for the cast members, and then a few months after that they removed it. So there's a lot of different things there in Discovery Riverboats that were really cool. And of course, for the longest time, you had unicorn parking.
You still have unicorn parking.
Yeah. And then the dragon head symbol outside of the Animal Kingdom. And there's the picture of the little dragon fountain out there. But of course, now we have James Cameron's Avatar and Pandora there. With the Banshee, which kind of looks like a dragon, kind of. So I guess spiritual successor. Yeah. So, yeah. Oh, Figment was also, as Yeti Hirsch, William Yeti Church, I can't even speak. Yeti Chaser says Figment. Yes.
That's right. Figment. Pete.
Yes, Pete the good dragon. So, yeah, how about that? What a show. We had to talk. We talked a lot about what's going on there, and I think Beastly Kingdom. I think there's still yet more for Disney to build in terms of Avatar and its perhaps expansion phase 2. Whenever James Cameron gets around to doing the rest of the Avatar series, so who knows? Maybe. I hope you enjoyed our list for this week, gang. We do thank you so much for tuning in. Especially if you're tuning in on Sorcerer Radio at srsounds.com, all Disney music all day long. I'd also like to thank you for checking us out at DisneyList.com for our archive of shows. You can check out the reunion. I can't speak right now. The reunion of the WDW After Dark crew with Jeff Davis, myself, Kristen, Eric Allen. It was a lot of fun. Hopefully we'll have another panel discussion soon with those guys. When Jeff gets back from his honeymoon.
You know what it is?
Yes.
It is that mushroom Swiss half-pound of burger you ate before we did the show.
Oh, my gosh.
All the blood is not in your head. It is now all in your tummy.
I'm not
That's
thinking
what's
it's
wrong
great.
with you.
Plus, the fact it's disorienting when you get knocked off the internet and, you don't know if you're really broadcasting or not. You're just guessing.
And you can't see yourself, so you don't know if you're, sitting there looking weird.
I probably am. I'm probably sitting weird anyway. Follow me on Instagram, aljon.go, or aljongo on Instagram. That's the best place you can follow me. And of course, like, share, and subscribe to the Disney List at thedisneylist.com for archive shows, our YouTube channel, our Facebook, of course, and Anchor. Please check us out on Anchor. And if you do check us out on Anchor, you can leave us a voicemail message, and then you could be featured in an upcoming show. So please check that out. Kristen, how can people get in touch with you, or if they want to book their trip?
Well, if they want to book a trip, they can contact me at themeparksandcruises@gmail.com. And then for all of your Disney food, news, and fun, make sure you check out diningatdisney.com. Follow Dining at Disney on social media, and then go to Anchor to listen to the Dining at Disney podcast.
Absolutely. Fun times. Also, Kristen, we want to give a shout out to our friends there.
Yes, WDW Park Hoppers. Everybody needs to check them out. Listen to their podcast. Weekly, it's Park Hopper Sid and Park Hopper John.
Thank you very much. You can check out the music provided, the show opening and show closing by our friends, Replay Heroes. Please download their album. If you love synth pop and rock and guitar, please check out Replay Heroes. And, yes.
And happy birthday to our top fan, Lindsay.
Happy birthday to top fan, Lindsay. Thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget, Wakanda Forever. We love you, Chadwick Boseman, and we love you for letting us into your home, into your ears every single week with the Disney List. Thank you so much. Have a great week.
This podcast is not affiliated with the Walt Disney Company or its holdings and is intended for entertainment purposes.
Honestly, thank you so much.
You forgot our normal closeout.
Oh, I'm Aljon.
And I'm Kristen.
And we'll see you real soon.
Here I have a